Hey. And I think we're here. Hey, everybody. Hey. Hello from Brazil. My gosh, yep. Turn my lights on so the stream doesn't fuck up my eyes. Doing all that stuff. Well, we're at part 3 of the band's oral history and a sort of behind-the-scenes look at sort of the meanings and message of the band's first full-length album. Some things don't wash out. I hope y'all are well. I've been sick all this week, so I had to miss a couple days of work. It was not the most fun. I basically laid around for like the last 6 days. This is, I think, my first time, maybe second time, really being sick with while also having the dysautonomia. So that's been an adjustment, but not too bad. Let's see what's going on with the band right now. So we just put out Ramdas Dick Pics on Thursday. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Speaker of the Chias, music does not work. I found out that the thing that I would be able to use is only available on PC, so we're just gonna be monologuing. I'm on the mend. Bewitching Bloom. I think I called out of work today. I think it's gonna be the last day I have to. I've really kind of just not done much today until now. Aside from giving my dog Muddy a bath, which is always fun. So yeah, what's going on with the band? We put out Ramdas Dick Pics on Thursday. Last year at the start of the BLM protests and the George Floyd protests, essentially I put up a demo to help raise some money, and this is that's the full band version of it. We're super stoked on everybody's response so far. We really appreciate everyone's efforts in spreading the word. The away team has been doing a great job. We're very excited. If you haven't already ordered a pre-order bundle, I would be mindful to do that within the next week or so, because it looks like we're starting to run low on the bundle exclusive vinyl. If you need to, that would be DMCA. Speaker day out here. So we got more stuff coming for that. And around that over the next week or two. We are getting ready to start nailing down a specific set list for our shows coming up on October 9th in Chicago, our album release show with Kalimasi, City Mouth, and Tiny Kingdoms at the Bottom Lounge. And we're playing on October 30th at Kingsland in Brooklyn, New York with Proper. And they are featured on Something Heavy, the song. We are playing with Chousand. They put out a great EP last year, and we tried to make this show happen once before. That show happened once before, but COVID did us in. And then Best X is going to be playing. And lastly, we have a show in Lancaster, Pennsylvania on November 18th. And that is with Man Not Dancing, Serencia, and Sun Not Yellow, if I am not mistaken. That's everything that's going on. Speaker, we are working on a Philly show right now. Planned for the holidays. Chicago and Lank. All right, Stefan. Something down south. We are working on it. Again, we're going to try to make it happen while it's colder, so that my dysautonomia isn't as much of a factor in the performance. So let's just dig in. So the last time, am I missing anything in the chat here? Everybody's loving the song. I know, they're great. so on and so forth. Cool. So, last time we left off, I believe we'd gone over the sort of lyrics of everything on So Young So Insane. We had released So Young So Insane after a bunch of records got messed up in shipping, and I had to make a bunch of them by hand. So we've done that now. We finished our tour. Before that, it was like a big blizzard in the Northwest that canceled like the last week of our tour. So we basically drove from California to Chicago for a holiday show, and then we got home. I made those EPs, and so here we are. It is the beginning of 2009. I am. Let me see. 2009. Yeah, 2009. I am. I can't really remember where I was sleeping. I think I stayed at my. I was sleeping in DC, and then also in Baltimore. I can't really remember. Anyway, and I don't know what was the humble brag that I can't remember where I was sleeping. No, that was because I was fucking homeless. But on tour with Have Mercy. And hell yeah, that was such a good show in Houston. I loved it. That place is crazy. That Deep Ellum area gets wild with all those city cowboys. Fun stuff. But yeah, welcome Zombie Prawns. So we put this out. It's going well. And in January or February, I had told you on the last episode that Ryan and Mike quit the band. Just randomly, a couple days before we were supposed to leave to go record, I believe. Yes. Yeah, I was sharing the floor with someone in the band. Yeah. So I don't know how it happens. I can't recall how it happens, but Ryan gets in touch with Aaron and I, and basically he wants to sit down and talk with all of us, and essentially he sort of he tells us why he left before, and then he's wants to give it another go, but he has sort of conditions that need to be met, which is fair because he was really just asking that the issues in the band would be that within the band would be addressed, mainly that everybody was not pitching in fairly, contributing their fair share in effort, essentially. And that really bothered Ryan because he and I were both just sort of at the time, just ass in the wind, sleeping on couches wherever we could, and he didn't feel that the effort from Rico or Noel, frankly, was up to snuff. And he made that clear, and we all sort of talked about what we would be able to do to resolve the issues that Ryan had, and so we all agreed to do those things, and essentially that was yeah, okay, we'll step up, we'll do the stuff that we needed to do, so on and so forth, and so Ryan rejoins the band, and we do a tour with we do a couple shows Valencia. It might have been a week, and Houston Calls, I believe. Maybe that was, I think that was then. And we're writing, so we start. This is when I first start working on songs for what would become Some Things Don't Wash Out, specifically, where the song lyrics written with everybody in the band, or people were responsible for each part on their own. Oh no, I write all of the song. I write the majority of what happens with the band. everybody else contributes as well, but I'm sort of the mover of the ship, goater. Hey, Kristen Lou, I'm glad you enjoy Ramdas Dick Pics. We'll talk about the meaning of that song and the meaning of the title another time. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoy it. So we rejoined the band. We go on these tours. We're starting to work on songs that would become some of the songs on Some Things Don't Wash Out. And I don't know what exactly happens. I can't recall precisely. But I remember that like the promises that were made were Radia. They moved me. I'm hoping that they move you as well. I'm glad. So the promises were not fulfilled, essentially, at the end of the day. And what frustrated Ryan further, he would tell me years down the line, is that like I hadn't accepted that like this was my band. I had been the one having to do most everything for the last several years, and I was the one guiding the ship with writing and sort of like doing a lot, and crying about it, and crying about having to do it often. But he was like, yeah, you just wouldn't accept that this was your band, and you needed to like have those hard conversations. Like, you needed to deal with a couple people. But I never saw it that way because it wasn't, again, my dream. So he quits again. He quits again in March, maybe late March of 2009. Yeah, like maybe late March, April. He quits, and like, I'm super annoyed. I'm super annoyed, obviously. And then Aaron was back home in New York when this happened. Like I was sleeping at Noel's house, like in Noel's basement, I think. And when like Ryan, like I think he like emailed everybody, and so then like I tried to get in touch with Aaron that weekend. Strangely enough, it might have been the weekend after. I can't remember. But I call him and he's like, hey Ben, I can't really talk right now. I got Ryan's email, but I'm doing this thing. I'm like really taking a look at my life, so on and so forth. And I'm like, okay. He's like, I'll call you on Sunday or whatever. So he calls me on Sunday and he's like, hey man, I just, he essentially, he quits the band. He's like, if it were me, you and Ryan, dealing with Rico and Noel, it would be like we'd have the majority of voice. He's like, but it's just me and you now, like having to deal with that. And he's like, and I'm not as invested in this as you are. Like I've only been playing with the band for a year. Why, like I there's other things I just can't. He's like, I love the band, I love you guys, and I hope it goes well, but I can't do it anymore either. So he leaves the band, and at this point, I'm super pissed. I'm like super annoyed that like this happened. We had been working on songs all together, and it had been going well. Like I had started writing. We'd started working on like the song "Some Things Don't Wash Out" a little bit, and what became a little bit more. Things were going well. And so I'm furious and burnt out because I've been doing everything for the last couple of years. And so I'm like, I got to get my shit together. I got to get centered, and I got to go somewhere safe. So I fly to Ohio to visit my best friend Katie, and while I'm there, like I call, like I get in touch with Noel, and Noel's like, hey man, where are you? I was like, I'm in Columbus, man. I'm having to, I got like recenter myself. There were not Go Tour. We'll get into that in a little bit, but yeah. So I'm like, hey man, do you wanna, like, is this a thing you want to do? And he's like, nah, I don't really, I don't know. I was like, I said to him, I was like, they left because of you guys, because they feel that you guys don't, want to do this, or like you don't care that much. And essentially Noel was like, yeah, it feels like we're kind of building a castle in a swamp. So I'm done. And then, I had like talked to Rico, and it was essentially the same thing from Rico. Like, I could go either way, man. Like, we'd have to like find a new lineup and like do the stuff to like, essentially the obstacles for him to keep going were the obstacles in the way of the band, like the things you have to do to keep the band going. So I was like, fine, fuck it. So everybody quits. I play a couple of shows with Ryan, because Ryan said he would. We had a couple like big money shows at some colleges, and the rest of the guys agreed to finish out through Warped Tour, because we had a tour with Free of Durden lined up, and then we had like 2 weeks of Warped Tour to play. So we go through all that. Everybody leaves. And I move out to the Pacific Northwest, closer to my best friends. And then, while I'm there, I'm not really finding work. What was big money shows? Like $1,000. Yeah, like we, college shows like colleges have a lot of money they throw around at bands so that they can like retain that budget or something. So anyway, yeah. We had a show scheduled with Kevin Devine and Valencia at a college in New Jersey, and the band really needed that money. So yeah, Ryan agreed to play. We bought an acoustic guitar because everyone had quit the band, and I didn't have a guitar anymore because I'd sold that to Survive. And yeah, we played the shows. I moved to Portland, and then I was like, all right, I'm done. And I was like, I'm gonna get a new life, but I'm not finding work, and these songs keep rattling around in my head. And we get invited to play. Chat's not working, bro. Let me refresh the chat. Chat's not working, bro. Cool. So yeah, it ends up being that like we play this last show of this venue that we had come up through in Chicago, and a couple of us got together to do that, and in doing that I ended up like asking Rico if he wanted to like take a listen to some songs that I had been like still working on and kicking around, and he was like, yeah, I'll do that. And then one thing led to another, and I am essentially back in Baltimore. Like, I decided like, this isn't something I'm done with yet. And that came about because I started getting a lot of like messages from people after people found out that everyone had left. Just sort of talking about how much the band meant to them, and like the ways it has helped them with their difficult times in life. And that gave me a perspective on what we were doing that I hadn't really had before. No one had really expressed, or I guess I really didn't understand the value of sort of sharing my suffering and life experience, and I guess like perspective on those things. And yeah, I started getting a lot of messages that music has helped them through tough times, and it's helped them with their own addiction or mental health issues, or has helped them with their own sexuality, their like just things we go through while we're living, and this has helped ease their troubles a bit. And so I decided like, let's explore these. I got a couple of songs, like let me just like write what I have and say what I have to say, and then we'll be done with it. So we recorded like 6 or 7 songs with Trevor, and I had the intention of just this being like a goodbye thing. I'm like, okay, this is what we tried, and if I was gonna give it up after this, because it had all fallen apart, I'm just gonna say what I gotta say. And sort of that's sort of how the lyrics of the album took on, like, sort of rose to another level than we'd previously seen. You know, last we spoke, I was really uncomfortable with the idea of people knowing how I'm feeling now that I know they're paying attention. I had an ex-girlfriend read one of my lyric books before sometime around a breakup, and that was really weird because I'm still exploring those ideas. They're not quite worked out yet, and I don't want anybody to worry, you know. So yeah, so I end up figuring out that, like, I'm not done with this yet, and I still have stuff to say. So I move. I fly back to Baltimore and start sleeping on either, like, I think I slept in my mom's basement for a little bit, but my drinking became too much of a problem. Like, not really for her, but I was super embarrassed about, like, essentially, like one time, like, I drove home drunk one night in her car, and, like, the last thing I remember, I was driving past where Golden Ring Mall used to be in Baltimore, and next thing I remember, she was opening the door to leave for work, and I was, like, crashing through the door. So I was just kind of sleeping wherever for a while, and that's sort of how it worked. You know, we wrote like 6 or 7 songs, came back, and the guy who was managing us for a little while, Danny Ruckeson, or, like, sort of, like, helping out and assisting where he could. Much thanks to Danny. He's moved on to bigger and more Billie Eilish things. And yeah, I guess somehow word came back that, like, Doghouse was interested in it, and they asked if we had some more songs, and we put those together pretty quickly. And then I got basically, it was a fucking nightmare working with getting shit situated with the album and Doghouse, and we never actually signed a contract. We don't have a signed agreement for anything, because, again, I was doing everything, and my life was spiraling further and further as this time went on. So yeah, that continues to happen. And then the album comes out in October of 2010. Now let's discuss some songs. I've done this one before, but I don't mind doing it again. So let's dig right into. We'll go right down the track list as far as things go here. So Shock and Awe. Shock and Awe is, you know, like I said, this to me was going to be sort of a bye-bye EP. Like, I was just going to take all the ideas that I had come up with, that I felt like were good and I could not get out of my head, and finish them. And then I would go, at the time I was like, I'll join the Air Force. But I didn't fully understand trauma and PTSD yet. So I was like, yeah, just like a place where I can dissociate. I think what I was really looking forward to in a life a place where I could just mentally check out forever. And that seemed like it is today. This day was a beautiful guitar. You might be. Goder, you're gunning for it. I appreciate you. So Shock and Awe. You know, so this is a song to the music industry in a lot of ways. I wanted to hold up a big fist and sort of, you know, I was lost for a while. I was knee deep in denial about my need to make music. You know, I lost my stride. Yeah, the band quit for a while. Took a lot of digging up bones in my backyard. You know, we're sort of sorting through skeletons, seeing what's up with us. Me too, Platty Cat. Me too. It's been a journey, I tell you what. But yeah, sort of what I really like. It's just a thing I don't know if it's a thing I like took from like hip hop or what, but I just really like an intro track, and these these first two songs feel like sort of the intro track. Like this is, let's get a sense of our surroundings and sort of my present inner space before we start exploring all the themes of the record. Because with the last two albums, they've really like in this album, they sort of become like a like I take a lot of ideas that I wasn't able to finish because I like haven't lived enough to finish the songs, and they sort of all come together in an interesting way. Yeah, like I don't always have the right perspective to finish the song. But so yeah, shock and awe, you know. First verse, like I'm here, I am done with this shit, and I'm gonna say everything I gotta say. I really liked, not liked. I remember when we went to Iraq and they called it like, it was like shock and awe. I thought that was a really interesting and like really psychological phrase, and I wanted to use that. Yeah, the shock. This is all. This is war. So yeah, second verse. You know, as we talked about in the. Did we talk about all the let's just say the band was haunted by their Rainses for a good little while, and the experience wasn't great with them to start. I won't get too specific because they are very litigious, and this is going to be on YouTube, so they're not my favorite kind of people. And yeah, so that's what that first line is about. Secondly, like Cody, he was in a band. This guy Cody was in a band called The Dangerous Summer years ago, and you told about they're rough. Claire to the Max. So I'll talk about that in just a second. But yeah, you know, fuck you. Like I'm just trying to. This is just me bitching about the music industry, knowing that like our music is being played at the party and we're not invited to the party. Yes, it's weird. Our popularity as a band in general is a very weird. We've been headlining since 2008. We get like one tour every 2 years. Every year or two, that's like support tours. 2015 was the most support tours we got ever, and that was 2. And yeah, so you know, I don't know. I think we're just not. We weren't what was cool then. Richard Rohr says that the truth will never be found in mass consciousness, and I find that to be true. So yeah, that's what, you know, shock and awe is a big, just like, fuck you, I don't care anymore. It feels like that picture of Johnny Cash, thanking the Grammy committee. Yeah. So, you know, but then at the same time, you know, we start exploring very early the winkings of holding two disparate ideas together. So, ooh, getting relaxed. So I'm losing weight for you. I didn't. I've had a real bad time with my body image being in a band. I almost died from diet pills in 2007. I told that story, I think, on one of the last 2 episodes. And I had Richard and the rest of the behind the scenes team telling me I needed to lose weight and I needed to be this, I need to be that. You know, they were like, you need to sing about girls, you know, because, you know, you need to do all this other stuff except for what you're doing. And I just didn't, you know, I was tired of feeling like I wasn't enough. Yeah, this, again, is another song, like, I've tried to behave, you know, back to my kind of nights that end throwing up. Once I clean up and I mess with it, my white flag is up. Like, fine, I'll do it. Just like help me stop having to live on the road in a way that's killing me. Um, yeah, I remember losing weight because I was choosing to drink instead of eat for a good while, because I couldn't afford both on the road. My bandmates were often in much better financial situations than I was, for better or for worse. But yeah, that's kind of that. I spent a lot of time getting over that, and I'm happy to be over it for the most part now. So I like these little dogs. Non-duality. There we are, Richard. Oh, we're in here. All right. I like that somebody knows who Richard is. I live in the dream. We already talked about what live in the dream, means. Let me tell you a little bit about why the song is on the album. The song is on the album because everybody forever told me that I need to whore that song out as much as possible. And with how much bands were getting like syncs and like their music was being played on like commercials and stuff at that point, because this genre of music was very commercial and profitable at the time. So yeah, we were like, screw it. We'll see. We'll put "Living the Dream" on the EP on the full length and see if it does all right. And then like everything happened as it did. So moving on. A Bigger Point of Pride. So A Bigger Point of Pride was written in a very odd way. So this was amongst, I believe, the second group of songs that we tooled out for the full length. Trevor came to Trevor's one day, and Trevor was like, "Yo, so this dude I work with is like working. Like MTV is looking for like theme songs for a show about getting a job." And like The Dangerous Summer did one, and they played it for us to give us like the idea of what they were talking about. And then like Rico had, I think, most of this like instrumentation just sort of like tucked away somewhere. He's like, "Yeah, I got something." So Trevor was like, "We need it in 3 days." So essentially, I just listened to these instrumentals over and over again, and I remember going to Trevor and being like, "I don't know if I can do this. It usually takes me months, if not years, to construct a song." And he was just like, "How don't you know? Like, how don't you know? Like at the time, we dig into some of the lyrics. Like at the time, like this song is very much about sort of my just examining where I was at the time and my perspective shifting on what I wanted to do with the band, what I wanted it to be, and how I wanted it to help serve others. Grow up, get a job, and cut that hair. Run off, join the army. We just talked about the Air Force. Bring a blanket. It gets awfully cold when you can't afford the heat. It's just a song about being sort of financially fucked and trying to live. Love living life from couch to couch. I used to really enjoy it because I didn't know anything other than survival. I thought that was, I had so many people tell me that what I experience on a daily basis is normal, and that everybody's walking around with what I've been going through my whole life, and that's not nearly the case. So I thought this was all there. I thought this was all there was ever going to be for me, is survival. I thought I'd never be able to look forward to anything, because it wasn't safe to, my life was getting pulled out from under me constantly, throughout much of my life. So yeah, and then in the end of the first verse, like but when everything you own fits in a single bag, I pulled that line from, like, the notion of that line, or like the themes of it and some of the analogy, from that Wonder Years song, Everything I Own Fits in My Backpacker. I think that's what it is. And then years later, I did like last year, in fact, to sort of pay homage to that, I did a cover of that song over remix I made of California by Childish Gambino. So if you're interested in that, just hit me up. I can send you a WeTransfer link. I think they're also on YouTube. So yeah, just a lot of that. So that song got done in 3 days. This goes over some of the jobs I was doing at the time. I'm a little burpy. Sorry, that's the 2 live that watch the videos. Yeah. Is there a song that you would work on more? No, I wouldn't change anything. Actually, yes. A bigger point of pride would be shorter. The bridge would be half as long. And the intro riff to the puzzle would be a little more straightforward, like the hold steady, like I wanted it. But I let it be weird because everybody just wanted it to be weird for the sake of being weird. It's fine. I think it's a cool part. But it flows differently. I missed seeing the last. Okay. So yeah, that's a bigger point of pride. It came together in a quick way. Jobs I have worked in order to survive while being in this band. We'll go chronologically. I have made junk mail in a tiny little closet for a mortgage lending company. I think that was partly responsible for the housing crisis. I've washed hair at a salon. I've worked in a warehouse that sent out homeschooling supplies. I've cleaned up houses for hoarders. I've done furniture transport with the van and trailer. List can go on and on. Just Awaken My Love, the whole album is fantastic. Hard to go wrong. I've done a lot of weird shit to keep the band going. Sorry if I'm coughing. Deal with it. Bootstraps. All right, so Bootstraps. Bootstraps was a song that we had been working on since Ryan and myself and Noel had been working on and off since 2007. It took a little while to figure it out, but there was Rico came up with a good pre-chorus, and then that's all that was missing from the song. And it was just sort of an expansion on, the beginning notions of the bigger point of pride. Like I want to work. I want to shift what I'm focused on, and you can see that through this record. There's a lot more like I can't stay in this hole forever. If that makes sense. I love Bootstraps. It's a great song. I remember so many little weird things about inspiration. This is one of the songs I use to teach people how I write and ways that I think are helpful to making good lyrics. But yeah, what do we talk about here? We get into this, sort of moving from. It's just been a while since I've read these. Just more feelings of inadequacy. I'll never fit the pants of a singer. I lack the lungs of a winner. I'm failure's dead ringer. I've got the marks of a sinner. Marks of a Sinner is referential to the burns I have on my body from that party I went to after I almost died from those diet pills in 2007. I've come to really appreciate the fact that the chorus works, knowing that you pick yourself up by the bootstraps is an incomplete saying. I think they both work. It both works. But yeah, we're trying. We're all just trying out here, or as Ram Dass says, we're all just walking each other home. You heard that the laugh in the back was my wife Christine. She knows me well. But yeah, Bootstraps is just about the very beginning notions of feeling like you may be able to be better, if that makes sense. Kristen Liu, I don't know if I'm gonna sing tonight, Godo. Like I said, I've been sick all week, but maybe. I just found an old college video. I'm reading Kristen Liu's thing. The video is approximately 7 pixels. At a Zune. Who is the artist that did a cover for the new album? I'll talk about that, but his Nick Farron and D Zadilla. You can look up Nick Farron and Dan Zadilla. So, any questions so far? I know we're about 45 minutes into my rambling. Would anybody like a water break or to ask any other questions? Let me pull up. Some things don't wash out while we're here. This was sort of the impetus of all of it. Of the rest of it. I remember sitting in, at the time, favorite song on the album. That's a tough one. I think it might be Some Things Don't Wash Out, though. To me, it was hearing this song after... It was hearing this song recorded and mastered that really said to me that, like, I had survived what had happened to me what had happened to me in the band in 2009. Years had gone by back then. You're not right. You're not wrong, Umbershine. But so yeah, I remember at the show in 2017 in Chicago, we sound checked with this, and I remember tearing up because that was like it's where my mind bounced right back to hearing this song and thinking like holy shit, like I did it, like the band, like, I mean, shit, in the 2 years previous, I had that's so funny. I had lost all my belongings in the band's van fire, all forms of identification, and then, basically a year later, everyone quits the band, and a year later, I have a full length that is being put out on Doghouse Records, and while none of the cool stuff that was happening, I was really able to enjoy, unfortunately. Like, it was cool stuff that was happening. But yeah, this is the song. This is the song that's, that ties the whole album together. So I was up at like 1:30 in the morning. I think just drinking wine, just pretty drunk in Noel's basement, and like Smoking Aces was on, and it's just some random part. It's just like a heist or assassin movie. There we go. And just at some moment, some character goes like, some things don't wash out. And I remember being like, I remember just being like super drunk, like, oh shit, I gotta write that down. And is my mole bleeding? It might be. fucking with it. Anyway, and like the next day or the day after, I remember playing sort of the beginning riff. Do I want to do this now? I could. Yeah, great bad movie. Agreed, Nussbaum. This is my. It's like, oh yeah, this is like. Did you guys see what I just did? I moved Simpsons Tom Hanks to the screen because I'm 63. So I'm gonna move this fella. Maybe while we're here. So anyway, I'll just do this. Fuck it, we'll do it live. So so the song. So the song itself alludes to the first time I fainted and passed out. I think I tried to wake up too fast from a 2-year nap, and I hit my head and went back to bed for a while. I stayed up all night one night, drinking, naturally, as any Ben Leach in 2008 would, and essentially I stayed up all night drinking, and I was like hanging out, and I went into the bathroom to, is this a problem for you guys? I don't really care. To use the bathroom, I looked down, and then like 20 minutes later, they were banging down the door to get me out. It was very fun to be found ass up in a bathroom. While not, I hadn't drunk enough to where I'd pass out. Like, it wasn't a drinking thing, but I definitely had a concussion. So that was sort of the first time I had a fainting episode. Looking back, y'all better hope. I hope I can't find a pic. So a guitar pick. So yeah, hit my head, back to bed for a while. You know, it's like I tried to get my shit together once, or I had a realization that I needed to get my shit together once, but it didn't take. So I woke up 24 in Texas, breaking a sweat to expand my nexus. Thank you, honey. And when it occurred to me, maybe I shouldn't be making excuses to cope so liberally. So, like, maybe we shouldn't be, you know, maybe a lot of the stuff we're doing is a problem. Maybe we shouldn't be coping so hard. It's the first time I started to think about. Sorry, I'm also pulling up a tuner, so we can do that if necessary. I also. Sorry, again, dysautonomia. I'm doing several things at once. How do you deal with the problem? How you deal with the problem becomes a bigger problem. Yeah, it can be. It can be a problem because so much you actually have to E flat. Yeah, you have to like. You have to change your own life. Like, literally change your... Oh, the sandwich and milk art. Stefan. Yeah, it's this really cool artist. It just really spoke to me. It just... It... We're getting there. They say the measure of a musician's confidence is how long he'll tune a guitar in front of you. Without speaking. Yes, Stefan, I will. Come on, we're almost there. You have to change your own life. It's hard, you know. And, like, even by then I understood what had happened to me and what was happening to me throughout my life. All right. So, you have to change your own life. Will you be doing about the many singles as well? Yeah, so, like, those Younger Than Neil, those are EPs? Yes. Those are every Sunday. Each Sunday between now and September 19th, we'll be doing one of these. And this will continue afterwards as well. We're just going to be doing other stuff. So, sorry. We're here. We're doing it. I woke up 24 and I guess they say some things don't wash out. So I remember I've always really liked Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band, and this song to me, like I remember Aaron first played those big drums of and I just had this like just this like like 4 on the floor, like keep it going. I wanted like a Bob Seger meets Andrew WK kind of thing, meets Is a Real Boy, basically, is like, you know, how people describe the band. So he plays it, I remember, and I was like, holy shit, that is like another level. And Ryan's like, yo, can I talk to you guys for a second? And then quits the band. So like that obviously went on the back burner for a while. But yeah, you know, so then they say some things don't wash out. You know, by this time I knew I had a drinking problem. And I knew there were things that had happened to me in life that I was worried I couldn't get around. So, you know, I was writing about it already. You know, interestingly enough, the first time I saw my mom after the album came out was in the spring of 2011. It was in Baltimore. We were opening for the Ready set and playing at like a big, like 1,000, like a big room. And I was like, so what'd you think of the record, Mom? And she was like, do you have a drinking problem? It's like the first thing she said to me.
Yeah, that's the first thing that has been wrong.
And I was like, no, Mom, I'm fine. Oh, moms be like that. But also, like, my grandmother's an alcoholic, and my grandfather's a dead guy who's done a lot of bad things in his life. So I'm assuming that trauma chain goes all the way up. But thankfully, I am ending it. So that's good. No, it's a bit. So anyway, so yeah, it's like, yeah, we made that, and it just stayed in my head. I was always for a long time really self-conscious. There are these moments, and it's a lesson for all songwriters that these moments there's like of sort of like overthinking or feeling like you're going to be judged for something being simple, and that happened with this song because I was like, they say some things just don't wash out. I've been dying to know what getting clean is all about. But the verse is just like, I think I tried to wake up too fast from what must have been 2 years now. Then I hit my head and was back to bed for a while. I just like making John Mayer faces. but what I learned to let go of it. I'm like, it just feels good. It sounds good. It's not getting in the way of anything. Don't overthink it. And years later, I would see guys like Kenny Beats being like, don't overthink shit. And so yeah, it's a good lesson in music too, just as much as it is in your head, in like mental health and shit. But yeah, so we got to work on that. And eventually, I remember I was in Portland and I was broke. Like once everybody quit the band, I was like looking for a job, but I was living on what I was making as a musician, because everyone had quit the band, and the agreement always was like, you play and you leave any financial opportunity behind with you. Yeah, and like, so I was paying, I think like $150 a month in rent, and trying to. I don't know what that is, but that's fun. Inner struggler. So, lost my train of thought. Just ought to know me. It happens sometimes. Straight through my hand. But yeah, again, another just sort of like coming to grips and trying to grow trying to realize you got some stuff to figure out as a person. And that, I wrote this, it was 2009 when I started work on this song, and it came out wonderfully. Rico, while we were constructing it, was, can you put to play this? I'm missing something. There's a command. Anyway, I don't know if I'm gonna play anything else tonight. Anyway, it's there. We'll see. Sorry, losing my train of thought. Moving on. So yeah, some things don't wash out. It was sort of the first sort of my last year and a half of drinking I spent trying to quit, and that song was very much for me like, okay, there's like I need help. I don't know with what, but like I can't. Like a change has to happen. There's this idea of stubbornness and the context of a character trait or a personality trait. You're stubborn your whole life, and that's a bad thing to people. But you get cancer and you're still stubborn, and then you survive it. So like maybe that stubbornness was it's like it was a thing you didn't need yet, but you already had. It's strange. So the context of things, changes. Like learning what to let go of and what to hold on to. What to leave in, what to leave out, as Seeger says. But let's move on to James Brown is Dead. James Brown is Dead was originally... Stories about the music. It's a Twitch thing. So I don't know what's happening in the chat. I love it. So James Brown is Dead. I started writing James Brown is Dead back in like 2006. I remember watching a former bandmate's relationship and sort of just reflecting on how obviously unhappy they were and not like willing to admit it to themselves. And that's sort of like where like this isn't love, it would require too much touching. Like the first bits of those that comes in I remember just thinking, like, listening to them on the phone argue. Like, wow, like, man. I'm like, yeah, arguing's healthy. Like, all that's, like, discussion and all that's healthy, but this wasn't that. I'm pulling out some hair while playing. Yes. Yeah, I used to do all kinds of wacky shit when I love the horns on this track, too. I used to do all kinds of wacky shit when I played. I don't pull out my hair anymore because, um, I've sort of, I've stopped hurting myself. If that makes sense. Or stopped, like, lowering myself before the audience. It's strange. I don't know. It's hard to explain. But it's sort of like I'm not necessarily like the butt of the joke anymore. It's tough. Anyhow, so James Brown is dead. Then we get into this, like, there's this fair size I'm keeping the beat. I was also like in one of the times I was out, I remember I remember just drinking and dancing a lot, and I remember having a just sort of a thing for this woman, and she was into me too, in a way, but sort of just like very nihilistically called me on the notion of like feeling anything about it. Like, we're both attracted to each other, but we were both in a super dark place. So this idea of like, what's the point of pretending any of us still have some kind of soul? You know, it's a sure bet you're not breaking the mold. James Brown is dead. Just like this, I just remember feeling so. I was surprised that somebody was like, "Let's just drop the charade. Like, we're both drunks. We're both sad. We both need somebody." And that's sort of what this is about. It's about a low point in my life. Love, something I can't quite find inside myself. Love, so I look for it in someone else. You know, and then again back to sort of coping with loneliness. You know, Parasite 7's keeping the beat. Behind the scenes on this song, we originally I wanted to do there's a song by Meg and Dia called "Are There Giants Too?" and they have all these like these cool bongos, and it's very like 70s-ish and disco-y, and so I brought that as a bongo reference, and so we had that going for a little bit, and then I think we just like got high and listened to just the bongos and the bass for a while, and then we decided we liked just the bongos and the bass, and then we were talking about needing horns for it. Previously mentioned ska and EP1, and there's such good horns on. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's ska. I just like ska. I just like horns. There's so much. No Such Noise is a good ska band. You should check out No Such Noise, all of you. They're a fantastic ska band. Man, We Are the Union, Catbite. Those are all bands doing good shit right now. Ska Team Network, obviously. I don't even gotta say they name. But so anyway, yeah, horns. So Trevor's like, I know this guy Max. He's a killer. So we're like, get him. So he gets him, and we're like, hey, is this vibe? He's like, all right, let me listen to it once. So he listens to it once. He's like, okay, I got it. And he just does those horns in one take. We didn't write them. We didn't think they were going to be that good. But he was just like, cool. He spent 5 minutes on it. If that. One take each. Those one take, what you hear. Crazy. Just super impressed. But yeah, just a dancey song. about being in a really low place with a lot of low instruments. At this point in time, I'm still, you know, you can tell I'm still trying to like refine and direct this sound and figure out what we're doing with it. It was very, I was like, yeah, let's do that. Like, that's an idea. It was a little bit of yes and, but also not really knowing how to. I was too sort of frenetic and scattershot to sort of write any, like, make a whole. Not that the new album's like super I don't. Is it? I think it's more cohesive. Just talking to myself in my dining room. Yeah, so sorry. So anyway, you can tell in James Brown is Dead, like I'm still trying to figure out like what we're doing with this, like these horns and this sound and whatnot. And I think you'll notice when the new album comes out, you'll notice that progression. I think that'll be pretty obvious. Any questions so far? Cool. So, next 20 minutes. I did this once before at our 10-year anniversary. We did a little 10-year thing when the full length hit 10 years old. I still have some copies. I have to send one out to this gentleman. The website didn't notify me it was ordered, but my brain has been scattered everywhere. Work has been wild, and the world is falling apart. But anyway, the next 20 minutes. So the next 20 minutes came about. We had this guy fill in, Augie. He filled in for the band for the tour, for like the last 2 tours, because Ryan quit, so he was filling in for Ryan. And then like eventually in like October or November, we were sort of like, as he got involved with the writing process, we were eventually like, well, let's come on board, so to speak. And so this is like, he had like a little, just like a simple little thing he was sort of calling like Beatlesy, just like the little chord pattern, and he had the torque wrench in the background. Goder, good question. So no, it wasn't a conversation I had with somebody. It was more of a reflection on like, if you really want me to be painfully honest with myself about just the idea that you're a good person. I really just thought so little of myself back then. So I almost wrote this song as like I don't know, it's weird, like just very confessory. Yeah, I don't know, I didn't feel very good about myself. There were a lot of things that I needed to sort of wrap my head around that I'd been doing, despite considering myself a good person. Yeah, quite specifically, I've mentioned it before, but the line, like, I hate to say that alcohol saved my career, but if she didn't drink so much, I wouldn't be here. Like, I'd gotten someone pregnant, and neither of us found out until she had a miscarriage, because she was an alcoholic, just like I was. I was not. I thought of this great line before realizing that I'm not a man. It was like, too many times to count on one hand, I had been less of a man than I'd planned. And that's sort of like what this whole thing is about. Yeah, just sort of ways that I thought like I let down myself in regards to your commitments in a relationship. Yeah. Yeah. And then the horns again. Max Kuzmiak, just one take, just killing it. The whole back end, like that high part, I remember we were like recording, and like it needed something, and I remember I was in there like, I know I said I never lied, and I was like, what's the next octave up? And Trevor and the guys were like, I don't think you sing that. And I was like, tell me what it is, let's try. So because I can't since I can't play I'm sick. Since I can't I don't know like music notes, I'm just like, this is where my hands go. Trevor essentially, he was like bing bing, and so I tried it, and I like hit the big note I needed to hit. So then I was like, oh, I just got to figure out how to get there. So we got there, and suddenly like there was this whole register I didn't have before, that I like cracked open, just like I'd cracked open on the last EP. Like my voice went from down here, from like, does your family have, or like, tonight will be preceded by, to like up here, I used to love what I used to love. And then like it went even higher. What if I never? Yeah, it was crazy. So we did that. And it was cool. And we've played this song 2 or 3 times. I played it. Actually, no, I played it a bunch on the acoustic tour. The acoustic tour. I really like it. It's just one of those songs that reminds me of like how little I thought of myself then. You know, so you're sad for young Ben. For young drunk Ben. Young drunk doesn't know he has PTSD. Doesn't know he's actually they. Ben. So, it was a fun trip down memory lane. So a little bit more. Was one of the last songs we worked together as that like original lineup. I remember me and Ryan had this like guitar idea, and we were playing it in Noel's room, and like we recorded it and put drums down and stuff and had all that, and then like Noel stayed up all night, and I can't play a little bit more, and sing that thing at the same time. Anyway, so Noel stays up all night, and he like, we wake up the next day. Ryan and I were really drinking like that night or something. Next day, Noel comes downstairs and he's like wide awake, and he's like, "You guys, I figured it out. I did it." He's like, "Come listen to this." So we go upstairs, and he has like just a shitload of horns all over this thing, and we ended up like keeping a bunch of them. There are some we didn't because it's a little too ska-y, but we like used guitars for some of those lines anyway. Not that ska-y is bad, but it like didn't work with the rest of the song. Forgive me, dysautonomia, nausea. Ooh, fun stuff. So a little bit more. So yeah, this song came together very quickly. You know, this song is very much sort of a song to you, a song to me, and a song to Ryan, and I guess the rest of my band. You know, like, I'm dealing with an addiction. I'm dealing with band members that are quitting. Everything's falling all in around me. This song sort of, you know, I talk about my, like, again, hesitance in continuing on, in spite of odds. Yeah, like, you know, at the time, I was homeless. I was not being a good boyfriend. Where did I go? Oh, there we go. You know, since I had fired Richard and Stephanie, they, like, they got us in debt with this merch company that was like their merch company, but not their merch company, and it was like a very sketchy situation. Um, and then they started like telling me they were gonna sue me because we owed them money, and I was like, "What's?" It's just a whole weird situation. But they were like always harassing me about it, and like they were. I was told that they were telling people I was calling people just some awful stuff, and it just doesn't make sense as a queer person. Um, and So I got this nagging bill collector. And I was just like, I don't have any money. I'm homeless. Like, what do you want? Like, I don't have anything. And sort of like the acknowledgement here that like the fire's still burning fast and hard. It's too hot in here to think. Like, there's too much. I wish somebody would have told me it was okay to stop and to take a break. And I wish everyone around me hadn't been telling me for 5 years that if you stop ever for one breath, everything you work for will fall apart completely. That's what, I didn't know music at all. So I didn't take a break, and it fucking. So I'd been running on empty since 2008, frankly. Yeah. Like, I think in 2008, like, the band found me, like, behind, like, a dumpster, crying and throwing bricks against a wall. Just, like, very obviously needed help, but everybody was like, well, nobody else is going to do it. We're going to keep on pushing him. So, yeah, just, like, I'm tapped out. The only hose aimed to save this house was out from the kitchen sink. Like, it's like there's not enough power. I don't have enough power left to do that. Trust in what we started. We can get this right. The pre-chorus is talking about pressure. 15 elephants sitting on my flesh. 36 vultures picking at my flesh. A man overboard without a life vest. I'm a little way down, but I'm doing my best. Yeah, it's just a song about not being enough, not having enough of a bunch of different things at the time. Money, time, alcohol, love. It was all. What? Hold on, sorry. What am I doing on Twitter? I apologize, guys. I'm fucking around. But yeah, I just didn't have, like, it was just not enough. I didn't have enough left. I was tapped out. I was in a band. I was in a band with a bunch of people that didn't want to be there. They wanted to be in a band. They didn't want to be in this band. And that was kind of the case until 2015. For everybody in the band. So moving on. The puzzle. So the puzzle is, again, just reflection of life. Like, I'm in Portland, just reflecting on my life, trying to figure out, like, this was a song I was writing in, like, August of 2000 and 2008. 2009, sorry. Just trying to figure out, like, is this something I want to, like, trying to figure out how to keep going on with the band. Like, am I going to figure out, like, why am I writing? Why can't I stop writing? Like, there's just something that, I didn't know what it was. Like, there's just something words keep seeping up from the subconscious, and I can't get these songs out of my head. But it's literally killing me. Let's be frank. I had already accepted my death, my literal death. My eyes closed, and I was like, this is not this is how I die. um, yeah, it was just like running me ragged. Um, and nobody wanted to help. Nobody wanted to stop either because I was about to make a bunch of money for people. Um, so yeah, what was rubbing? It's the wet jeans. That's the line. It feels like I've been wearing a wet pair of jeans. You know when you wear wet jeans and you get like a little chub rub or like a little, what do they call it? Water rash? Not even bandmates? No, man. My bandmates were calling me fat. They were, man, just, it was not a good time. No, Dan, nobody tried to help me. My bandmates from 2010 on didn't really have a lot of interest in knowing me, as it's been reported, as it was told to me. But yeah, I was very alone in the band for a long time. A lot of people, they just wanted to be in a band, and they didn't want to. Everybody wanted to live the dream. So yeah, I love you too, guys. But that is true, Andy. But you don't want to like go for a jog in them. You just want to wear them and like hang out. But yeah, it was a lonely experience the last like year. Yeah, like I had saved this thing. Yeah, I don't know, the last like, especially the last like from like 2010 onward, I was just very very alone in the band. I was like the weird guy now, and I was the one that was tolerated. Just because I was weird. Little did I didn't understand that I had PTSD, that I was, you know, that I was queer and not non. I didn't understand myself. I didn't fully understand what was going on in my life, and I didn't realize how uncomfortable I was around a bunch of men that weren't my friends. Oh yeah, chub rub. But yeah, so the puzzle. I'm trying to figure out if I want to keep doing this. Alright, yeah, but I remember crying like every couple of months to the guys that like, this is hard. Like, no, like why won't you guys help me? Like I'm having to tend to all the tours, all the merch, all the stuff that's happening when we're not on stage is on my shoulders, and this isn't my dream. You know, it was. It's still. It was still. Yeah, it was hard. It was always hard. This is hard to do, especially when people aren't interested in helping. But yeah, that's what the puzzle's about. You know, figuring out like, am I ever gonna stop? Like, there's this idea now that like you don't always need to be trying to improve yourself. And my wife tells me that I talk to people often, like, not like they're a problem to be solved, but like the problem they have can be solved, and it's necessary for me to try to solve it. And I think that's because like I've only, throughout most of my life and well into my adult life, I was only ever treated as a problem that needed to be solved or tolerated. So that's going to be how you start to look at the rest of the world. It's like, okay, like if I'm a problem to solve, that must mean everybody else like is going through that too. So yeah, like I once had like a coworker recently told me that I talk like a motivational speaker sometimes, and I think I do because I'm always trying to remind folks that there's another perspective. You know, I know how dark it gets, and I know it's important to punch a hole in that darkness before it wraps all the way around you. So I don't know. Maybe it's just my hypervigilance about that. But so yeah, that's what the puzzle's about. Yeah, just me in Portland reflecting on my life as I'm about to move back to Baltimore or like the East Coast, or just not have a place anymore, in order to pursue the band. And I did. Uh, so yeah, we press on, we move back, we come to it, and forward we go. Moon roll me away. Moon roll me away. This is a. We were trying to figure out a last song. This is actually another song that Rico had a lot of. Just a sort of out there song. And I remember writing it like. This was essentially like my goodbye to y'all. This was meant to serve. I wrote this song to our audience, to the people that listen to the band. Yeah. I was like, if there's nothing else, like let me explain myself and how this has come to pass. Yeah. This is a good goodbye to y'all. That's what I wrote that, sort of reflecting on my time, and like if I didn't get any more, I just wanted to write you guys a song. So Moon Roll Me Away is sort of about our relationship. Just the idea that like this is all, this is where later when you read and you listen to more of what the new album is about, you're gonna realize that there are these inklings of these things starting to happen. You're gonna notice that if you were to go back and watch the last one we do of this first, and then go back and watch these over again. I know it's fucking forever, but if you end up doing that, am I recording this? Does that mean yes? I hope so. Anyway. So we have a passage from Moon Roll Me Away. Yeah, so Goder, I don't know if you'll notice this, but I like to think of myself as like the Damon Lindelof, the budget Damon Lindelof of genre music. And I like there's tons of callbacks and references to old songs and new songs. There are like musical notes and melodies in new songs that are relevant to old songs. Like, yeah, it's a whole. I've built a very interesting universe. So, yeah, this was a song to you guys, sort of about our relationship and how we came to exist, and that I know it's impermanent, and there's not really anything I can do about that. In a lot of ways, it's up to you guys in some sense. Like, I'm gonna keep making music, but I need to sit on something that's not hardwood. Hold on a second. Castaways, we are. Yeah, I got pillow sitting on a wood butt. So yeah, there's a bunch of those things. But yeah, this song is about us. So yeah, this day's proved to come with its share for burns. Like this day, as in like our time together. A day as in like a lifespan. The sun is now all but gone down. This is sort of referencing that like the band's basically over. Everyone has quit. There's nothing I can do about it. It's just like me and this guy, Rico, that like barely wants to be in the band, and this kid Augie who has like been in the band for a month or two. He's like played with the band, but we weren't really sure. Hold on one second. I'm tired, we both know I can't stay short of the moon. Could ever hold me. Sorry, sort myself out. Let's just blame everything on just. I got one of these like. So we're shooting a video for a song next week, or in like 9 days, 9 days. Making the camera shake. And I'd like tried to buy some shirts because like I'm fat now. I've always been a little thick side. I got that survivalist body. But dysautonomia has had me gain some weight, and that's fine. But I've been trying to find some clothes that like I like and that aren't like too weird or like too they feel weird on me because I have sensory issues now because of the dysautonomia. But I got one of these like big shirts. It's like oversized, so like the pockets like you could put like a fucking Gatorade. You feel me? This is a full ass Gatorade bottle. But these make me look bigger than I am. My wife says I don't really care if I do, but yeah, they're super comfy though. But it's like an oversized shirt. Fat non-binary. But yeah, it's like it's a huge shirt. They're comfy though, but definitely not what I'm gonna be wearing for this video. So anyway, yeah, I got cargo. This is a cute shirt. I like it. Maybe I'll grow into it. Maybe I just gotta tuck my shirt, I gotta tuck it in. It looks dirty though too. That's the other weird thing about it. Do they make shirts now that just look dirty right away? So anyway, as long as I remember now the salty taste in my mouth, I've always had this anger or this frustration. That frustration comes from the trauma of my life. Yeah, this ebb and flow, sort of these ups and downs have got me down. Yeah. Why they make jeans that look worn and dirty? What? That's true. I mean, like I don't know if it's on I just don't know. Like I feel I saw like a TikTok or a tweet the other day that was like people with money want to be poor so bad. They want to be poor so fucking bad because and not in like a literal way, but they want the trappings and the character of being broke because it builds character, and you tend to be, I would argue, you're a more interesting person if you haven't had easy money. Yeah. It's like the trauma is just different. So yeah, I'm the tide. We both know this is an impermanent relationship. But it's gonna take. But I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try very hard. Nothing short of the moon could. Nothing but an unavoidable pull could take me away from this. And that's what I'm saying to you guys at the end of this album. Yeah, it's been hard, and I just got to go wherever the tide goes from here. So that's what that last song's about. Moon Roll Me Away. So that was the song. That was the album, Something Heavy. We actually did this in a pretty quick amount of time. I think part of that is because there's so much surrounding this album that I wanted to talk about. Aside from like all this happens, all this is going on. We get this. If y'all got another 30 minutes, I'll give you a little more backstory, a little more oral history of the band. So, any questions? Now I'm just I'm not bullshitting, but any questions? I'll take those over the next little bit of time. So we get the album recorded. Doghouse says they want it, and so we. Can I be really honest with y'all? I'm like itchy. I don't know why. I'm itchy, so I'm gonna just post up like this. So we get the record. The Doghouse says they want to put it out, and we go to. Oh, coming back to the question. The album has 11 songs. Were there more? No. Coder, as a matter of fact, there is only one song that was ever sort of recorded that wasn't released, and it's disappeared. So the band doesn't have any B-sides or unreleased. Are they B-sides or unreleased? I don't know what they're called, but we don't have any unreleased music. I come to the table with exactly the amount of ideas or something still in progress that we're going to be recording. So essentially, like, if the songs suck, those are the songs I got. And that's just how it's always gone. Yeah. So Doghouse says they want to get the album. They're like, but we're only going to give you half of the money for it. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's fine. It would be cool to get to Denver younger than Neil. I'm hoping we can, yes. I'm hoping that my autonomic testing that happens in October produces some results that narrow down a path of sort of treatment or symptom management. Or at least makes that a little clearer. So they get it, and there's all this like weird haggling going on. Like Doghouse is very like they're like trying to rush it in a weird way, but also they keep saying they're like giving out different release dates. Like the album was supposed to come out in June, the album was supposed to come out in August, the August was going to come out. So like all these different dates are being announced. Meanwhile, we haven't signed an agreement yet because there's some part of the contract that their lawyer doesn't want to explain to. Anyway, they only pay for half the record up front, and we get there's not like nothing else really. And they say to me while this is happening, they're like, we don't want to sign you, like you have to have a band, like it can't be like you, me, and everyone we know and it's you. We don't want that. You need a band. So I get I go to Rico and I'm like, Rico, I'm doing everything else. Can you get a band together? Can you find a couple other, like, we need a guitarist, or we need a bassist, and we need a drummer, and maybe a keyboard player, because we were 6 before everybody quit in 2009. But I don't know if you have noticed that I never had that hard conversation with Rico about why everyone left the band and what's going to be expected of him, being in the band again. And so that bites me in the ass down the line. So Rico finds a bunch of cool dudes that are his friends to play in the band, and since Rico's the one that picked them, Rico picked them. So Rico's rules go. We go on tour. We're doing some like summer shit in 2010. We do a little bit. The label, we end up never getting a contract. I don't know what genre this is. Let's just say indie punk. I don't know, pop punk, emo. I don't know. The music is me, so it's like, Ben, what genre are you? I got it. We'll call it non-binary punk. Sure. So they're like, we don't want you. We want a band. So I give him. Rico finds a band, and then shortly after that, like, it becomes like everybody knows each other, and I'm sort of the odd man out. It was a very lonely year, and I drank more and more, and I made poorer and poorer decisions as I remained desperate with regards to my mental health and drinking. Queer punk. There's already queer punk. I don't know if I'm queer enough to call it queer punk. Is that like a internalization thing? I'm gonna get a different seat. I'm doing all of this in like the last. Hey, Randy, do you guys see my cat? Do you guys see the cat? What are you doing over here? Y'all just want to do this? This is more interesting. There you go, Randy. I told you we'd have a special guest. Randy. Hey. What are you doing? You gonna come up here? come here. Anyway, sorry. I know I'm just like fucking around at this point. So we get it done, and we get like the record comes out. I'm not really sure. Like, I'm so checked out at this point. I am aggressively unsure how. Like, I forgot to get a contract from Doghouse. Like, that's how burned out I was. Yeah. Yeah, and then on October 8th or 9th or 10th, I think 9th of 2010, Some Things Don't Wash Out comes out. And that's how we got Some Things Don't Wash Out. Next week, we're going to get to hear about the chaos of October from 2010 to May of 2011. This is the... Next week is going to be the... I mean, fuck, things are really weird right now. No, you're good, Neil. Any and all pronouns are cool younger than Neil. Do not care. Yeah, I am multitudes. But yeah, next week we'll talk about myself imploding, and then eventually everyone else is leaving the band. Yeah, and then in 2 weeks we'll talk about sort of things starting to rebuild. Yeah, nice. Just as a couple reminders, guys, gals, theys, gays. I have a new album coming out on September 17th, Something Heavy. It is very good. Now the cat's not down there. We don't got to do all that shit. Cool. Now we're back in this action. Dan, we'll talk about why they left last week, or next week. But it's complicated, but in a way, yes. But yeah, the album's called Something Heavy. It's through that link that Andy Likes Cats just put on the chat. And like I said, we're gonna be playing a lot of shows. I'm gonna be here next week. I think like after all the album stuff is done, I might start playing video games on this too. Or like, I think maybe not next week, but the week after, I'm gonna have a chat. We're gonna have we're gonna be slowly introducing new members to the band and to the chat, to the stream. So next week will be the last time I'm alone. But I will be alone, and we'll sort of talk about the collapse and survival of You Made Everyone We Know for the second time in 2 years. So I hope you've all had fun. This is always a good time for me. I got a different light. I don't know if you noticed. Let's see. Yeah, just if y'all just want to make sure that tell somebody about the band tomorrow. I really appreciate it. It's been a really cool experience getting to discover myself in front of you. Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been a worthy journey so far. But thank you all. You all have a great night, and I'll see you this time next week. Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye.